Hello, dear viewers. ReRaise here, doing a bit of a follow-up after the Florida ReRaise event. And I kind of thought about going over that tournament, but unfortunately I don't remember a whole lot of it, so I thought I would turn this into kind of my early Opus thoughts, give some thoughts on a lot of the cards and what they're doing. I'm going to turn, hopefully, the one that I do at the end of the set reviews with Alex. I'm going to make that one a little different this time, I think, since we've got competitive events again, and really more talk about that. But anyway, before we get into that, I just wanted to give a little update. So I was actually supposed to be in person at the Florida event, and that Friday, I was getting ready to fly out on the plane. Kid you not, it was about an hour before I go to the airport, and I'd just been feeling kind of funny all day. And, you know, I laid down, I tried to take a nap. I was hoping that'd make me feel better. And so, you know, I'm going back and forth with my girlfriend, like, okay, well, what do we do? Like, should I go? You know, I don't want to lose all this money and everything. It's the last minute. I'm not going to be able to get any of it back. But at the same time, I'm not feeling well. And what if I feel worse? You know, what if I get down there, I feel really bad, and then, okay, but what if I feel better, and then I didn't go, and then, you know, I actually feel better. So, you know, I just wanted to be safe, so I took a COVID test, and sure enough, for the first time in 2 years, I caught COVID at just the worst possible time. So, had to cancel the trip, lose all the money, which absolutely sucked. Thankfully, I was able to do it from home. So big thank you to James Lockwood and Haven Games, everyone who helped with that. It really meant a lot to me. And it was still, but I was feeling so crappy, and hopefully it didn't come through on the broadcast. I know I was coughing a lot, and I still got a bit of a hangover cough, but I don't honestly remember it very well. I don't really remember the matches I cast. I was like just kind of on autopilot trying to get through the event. So really unfortunate, really sucked. Hopefully whatever the next one is, I don't get sick again. And yeah, it was just awful timing. But anyway, I've got a deck tech loaded on YouTube that I'll probably release after this video. It's oddly enough, it's a Fire Ice kind of Knights build, so it's kind of funny that ended up winning ReRaise, because now my list is going to look like garbage in comparison. But, you know, anyway, it was just one I put out for fun. And then there's one other deck that, for the physical cards, I'm going to record too for the deck tech. But beyond that, I might be done with the deck techs. Unfortunately, I just have no local scene. It's if it's possible, it's fallen apart even further than it was. So, the future does not bode well for your boy. But anyway, let's talk about Opus 16. I'm just going to mention some cards that I have anything worth saying about. I might probably skip over quite a few of them, but just, yeah, some stuff after now that I've actually gotten to play with it. Stuff that has, you know, impressed me versus stuff that's really fallen apart. And also, I want to challenge some of the kind of prevailing opinions on some cards as well. So anyway, it's kind of my update. Let's get to it. All right, here we have Vaughn. If Philo didn't exist, I don't think this card would ever see play, but Philo allows him to tap for 3 colors. That's awesome. This Ace I've gone back and forth on. I wasn't high when I first read it, and then I played it, and I liked it quite a bit, especially in like my 3-color deck. And then I kind of fell out of favor on it again, too, because there's still just this feeling of, I like that the quote-unquote cost is just he enters, you reveal, and you can really hit something for a lot of damage. Sometimes, I still found that a little awkward to use, and I found it hard to push to that 9K mark. I do like his on attack, but I don't know. He's one of those weird cards that, like, there's not really anything wrong with him in the build you would want to use him in, but he's just, I don't know. Like, I also just think, there's something else I'd rather play. Elvis is amazing. I mean, Soirees as a whole have been absolutely outstanding, way better than I thought they would be. But Elvis is huge on an EX burst. I don't remember who someone compared this to. Maybe like Ferris. I'm thinking of like Warriors of Light. Like, she has to get so many bodies to get up to 9K, 10K, and Elvis just needs 3. Like, you can have Shujin, Amber, play down Elvis, now you're blasting something for 9K. It's utter insanity. This Onion Knight's fine. I was never super high on it. It does what it does. You know, it's cool if you just draw 2 cards off of it. That's neat. But, yeah, you know, he's just there. No, I haven't seen Cloud, Crimson Hound. Black Waltz is cool. He just kind of does what he does. He's the second most used one after the 3, the lightning one. Ice one's obviously the weakest. No one uses that. I haven't seen enough with the Samurai, but I'm assuming it's good. Nothing about it reads poorly. Jin is actually a little better than I first thought, just because he's really nice with things like Squall here next to him, or Samurais, you know, Cyan. Same reason like Aroha is good. She adds 1 more to Cyan's counter. The Jin sometimes pushing a value to just that 1 more can make a difference depending on what you use it for. So he seems fun. Squall is really interesting because when he first came out, everyone kind of shat on him, and then it kind of flipped, and everyone's now like, wow, this card's amazing. I have to admit, I'm still just kind of okay on Squall. I think he's fine. I don't think he's as great as some people have made him out to be. He's definitely not terrible. In particular, I think I've only one time seen where both opponents have no cards in hand, and so he gets the double attack. Obviously, that's incredible when he gets to do that. However, he dies to a single Amaterasu, which I've seen happen a ton, and I've done it against him a ton, and had it happen to me a ton. And he's kind of weird against soirees, because again, you'll see this field of they'll have Edel, all these soirees, and they'll just block with the Merald. And it's like, yeah, so he does 4k on attack. When they block, the Edel will take that 4k, but then they just killed your Squall. They just trade for this card that they want to replay anyway. Whereas Squall feels like he needs a little more of an investment. You know, he's not this soiree that just wants to come down instantly. And again, with 9ks, like I've seen people legit, you know, like the new Wall Legend, the 9k one. Here comes Squall, and they'll be like, okay, I'll block. Like, yeah, maybe you'll kill one other thing on my board, but I've just killed your Squall now. So in those instances, he's felt really lackluster to me. And I do think haste is absolutely key. I think if he just comes down and sits the return, that's no good. I wonder if, and I was discussing this with my friend, if they should have had First Strike be on the first effect too. So if just as long as either of you just have 2 or less, he gets haste and First Strike. Now the dangerous part is that would mean he would always win in combat. You know, he goes in, hits for 4. Now he's got that First Strike, so he can't just be chump blocked by, you know, one of the soirees or by a 9k. Maybe that would have been too good. Personally, like, to me, that's all he does. He does well in combat, so I think I would have been okay with that. But again, maybe that would have been too strong. But yeah, he's fine. He's better than I think I originally thought, but I still just find him The Shijins, I'll just talk about all of them right here. They're just garbage. I wanted to try them, but playing with it, they're just terrible, especially in light of the soirees. And they have no synergy. And Onion Knight pointed this out in his blog, which I really appreciated. There's just no reason to play them all together. Again, look at the soirees. When you get more soirees, Elvis does more damage. Irwin gets a better effect. Merald gets a better effect. But you could have every single Shijin on the field, and there's, like, it doesn't do anything. There's no reason. There's no, cool, I've assembled all 4 plus Kieran. And I knew who these characters were, too. I knew who the Shijins were. And I didn't know who the soirees were, so it's kind of a bummer that, like, these people, who I have no clue who they are, got these amazing cards, and these guys just got crap. Like, they're spread out through many colors. The searching of themselves just doesn't... And then from Kieran, they just get 1,000. Like, it's ridiculous to compare that to Edel. Edel completely protects every soiree from everything. And Kieran's like, I'll give him 1,000 power to make them on curve. It doesn't even push them above the curve. It's like, okay, well, now there'll be a 4-cost 8k. And Onion Knight said, too, I wish they gave each other their powers. So what if when Suzaku's on the field, when any Shijin attacks, you can ping for 5k damage. Oh, okay, cool. Now I can party with Suzaku and, you know, Genbu, and that everyone gets, you know, I get 2 pings of 5, or Genbu says they all get protected. Like, that would have been awesome, but none of them got it, so real shame. These cards are, yeah, just what a joke. Soul's great. He does what he does, which is nice. Delita absolutely sucks. The few times I've, even in this Knight deck, it's just like, I just don't want to use him. Like, he's a Knight, he's a Fire Knight, so I like having him come in for Lastwell, and that's it. But, like, his effect, there's just no reason. Like, he should have been way cheaper for that effect. Because for 1 more CP, I'll just put out Sasano and actually kill everything, as opposed to Delitas and just absurd garbage. Morrow's really good, way better than I first thought. So it's not, especially he really showed it in that Fire Ice deck at ReRaise. But yeah, that the especially in an aggressive deck, being able to, yeah, you have to give up a single card, but you get 2 back, helps you dig through the deck. Really good. Never seen Bahamut. Rams is great if he can stay on the field and you've got the crystals. He's really vulnerable to being bounced. And again, you'll never really have the crystals to keep repaying for him. Without that, though, he's a complete beater. All these backups are just fine. On occasion, I've seen the damage 5s come in, but for the most part, they're just kind of there. They are nice in decks where Like you want to just get your backups down early, but then there's maybe a key backup you want to see later. So let's say you're playing mono fire, you want to get your Lebro down later. It's nice to be able to freely clear a spot that doesn't really cost you anything. Lunith is great, especially that ping damage, and he's made Light Refia show up. That alone gets a A+ in my book. Luso's exactly what I thought he would be, which is like cool and funny when he goes off, but not serious. Rain's terrible. Soirees are great. Agrias is okay. In some ways, I've been a little underwhelmed by her, and maybe that's because in my initial review, Jared was like, "Oh, she's gonna be the best card ever. She's like best card in the set." And playing with her, I don't know, That's how I feel about her. Just There are times she seems nice, and other times I'm just like, she's just kind of there. Vincent sucks. There's the Bard. Cloud of Darkness is just, I still think this is an insane disappointment for an Ice Legend. If you have crystals out the wazoo, totally fine. If you don't, but again, you have to play crystals. And again, crystals in general, and I'll mention this in Shantoto too, is just, as a concept, I'm just personally not sold on it. I think there's some fun things you can do with it, but I don't know. It's just not for me, I guess. Waltz is just there for numbers. The Shiva, if you could get the 3 dull, break a dull 4 discard's amazing, but yeah. Shalk, I've tried to make work, haven't had it happen once. Shantoto, I'm really confused why everyone loves this card so much. I was incredibly underwhelmed by it when I saw it. I'm still underwhelmed by it, and it's not that there's anything bad on it. Like, okay, especially if she comes down for one cost body for 8K, feels amazing, right? And then you just get any character back, right? So there is nothing wrong with this card, but I guess it felt so generic to me when I saw it. Pick a character in your break zone, add it to your hand. We've had cards that have been doing that since Opus 6, even before then. You know, Opus 1 saged it. I guess I was just so confused why, like, this is it. This was like the big Ice Legend, and that it just gets you a character back. So I don't know. I guess I want to know why did everyone freak out about this card so much? Like, it was so good. I just find it very generic. Just like, okay, cool, character backs. Again, that's not bad, but I don't know. Is it just because it's an ice? Like, if this was an earth element, would you just think, well, yeah, everything does that? Is it because ice doesn't have a lot of recursion? Maybe that's why. Maybe it's because it's ice specifically. Her crystal effect is obviously good. Again, like Cloud of Darkness, so you have to pick crystals, though, for that. So, and I've seen people just throw her into ice decks without any of the crystal aspects. So, yeah, she's honestly a fine card. I guess I was surprised how much people loved her, because I just don't see that level of it. Scarlet sucks. Sarah's way too much work for no reason. I don't understand why Opus 1 Sarah still gives this a run for its money. Celeste is too situational. Bunch of standard stuff. I have heard, I haven't tested it, but I've heard YKT 63 is actually quite good, in the sense that you just choose a forward, dull it and freeze it. If they have 1 card or less, you break it instead. So it's kind of like Sid Olstein, except they can still have a single card in hand, which is a lot easier to have than to have them at 0 cards. But again, I haven't tried it, just what I've heard. Devout seems fine for playing crystals. Babis is just as bad as I thought it would be. You don't want to play it early. It would be even later. Again, anytime your opponent gets to pick the effect, they're going to pick the least damaging thing available to them. So that's what Babis is. Biblos is great. He does exactly what I thought he would do. It's been kind of weird to me to see the people who are down in this guy, because again, he just reads the way I thought he would, and he's been great. Ignore him. Mustadio's been disappointing. Again, maybe just because Eureka really hyped him up with Agrias, but in practice, it's just, unless they're choosing the Agrias specifically to give you the free reduction, it's just hard to see a time when I willingly want to pay 3 for this guy on their turn to just dull a single character. And then, yeah, I don't know. He's been disappointment. Unileska, I think, is okay. I think this proves that, yeah, if this had been Gesper, I don't know. See, Gesper's still a monster, though, so you could still do this effect with Gesper. And while it hurts your hand, you still have, all 5 of your backup resources. This is, you are losing 1 CP because you have to dull on your backup line, and 2 CP from your hand. So you're giving up 3 CP to make your opponent discard 1. Now, obviously, if you have something like where you're going to get a benefit, or if you're way ahead of your opponent and you're keeping their hand low, that's probably completely worth it. But in even games, it just feels like, I don't know. I find myself not wanting to do it very often. Maybe that's just me. Lastwell is amazing. He's just a perfect card. He legit is a perfect card. He's great design. He's actually worded properly so that he's great on his own. You can play him completely by himself, and then he can just also get the night benefit. So just great job on the wording like that. They've had other ice cards where they'll just mess up the wording so that they become unplayable. And again, he's great design for you, the person playing him. He's strong. He gives you immediate value, and he threatens continued value. But then for your opponent, he's just a 5,000 power body. You can easily take this guy out with an Elvis, with a Blaze, with a Brynhildr. So he's not a pain to deal with either. I love that type of design. I'm a big fan of 2-cost 5Ks that give value for the person who play him, but are also very easy to deal with for your opponent. So Lastwell is just fantastic. Tomos is just stupid. I don't know what they were thinking with this card. It just makes absolutely no sense. Again, Wind just doesn't need even more reactivation. And I'm just baffled it's on the second cast. Maybe they were trying to keep it different from Rosa, so they didn't want to make it the third cast, but the second cast is just so easy to reach. Yeah, dumb card. Wall, pretty solid too. I haven't seen a whole lot of people trying it, so I'm still I'm not 100% sure how to feel. Like, he seems really solid. You just don't see a ton of decks with him. But yeah, he's, thank God he's once per turn on that card draw. Never seen this, never seen that. Charlotta, I haven't seen once, so again, I guess people clearly don't value crystals that much, because that's all she's here for is crystals. Zidane's as stupid as I thought he would be. It's the Mind Flayer Lanny problem that, it really depends on what he draws you. Sometimes he'll draw you nothing, or you'll be going against a Suarez or a tribal deck, and he'll draw you a bunch of cards that you really can't even use because you don't have all these tribal members. And I've seen good players make really bad decisions with this guy where they're so desperate to get that mill, they'll run him into like clearly a blocker and just get him killed for nothing so they can steal some crappy backup they didn't need. That's really bothering, or not bothering, but that's just very strange to see. Like, people get baited into those plays. But then, he can rip you apart as well. I saw him on stream. I think I remember him going against a water deck, and he stole like 2 Mashris from them, like a good Leviathan. So it's just like all those steal cards that I just hate because it just adds randomness into the game of, did you steal something amazing? Cool, have fun. You didn't? Oh, well, sucks for you. And just mechanically, like, it doesn't make sense to have this separate bank of CP. Not that you can spend it, but the separate bank of cards that you have access to that doesn't affect your hand size. So you can have 5 cards in hand and then 5 cards to pick from. It's just silly. I just don't understand why Zidane always gets good cards. Is he better than the 3-cost one? Well, a lot of people have been trying him, so they're clearly entertained by him, or they like him. Matiski obviously put out the loop list, which makes him a win condition, which is completely stupid. Whatever. Talked about the Shijins. Theodore with his father Cecil. Theodore's fine. I've kind of been looking for ways to abuse him, and other than something like Althea, it's kind of hard to come up with. His entry effect can be good, but again, there's some decks he just doesn't even have a target for, because some stuff just plays really low-cost bodies and backups, so he doesn't really have anything to break. However, he's pretty silly with Bismarck and Hooded Man, where, if you've got all 3 of them on the field, you go to combat, you have Bismarck just dull all the 4 guys to ping everything, Theodore stands them right back up, then they can go in and attack or ping again with Bismarck, and then Hooded Man's going to stand them right back up at the end, and then on their turn, you can then ping them again. Like, it's just absurd. Cecil's fantastic. I'm really surprised by the number of people who were down on Cecil, who are just like, oh, he's not that great. Like, to me, he does exactly what I expected him to do. I think it's really easy to overlook the tax effect, because some people will say, yeah, I'll gladly pay 2 for that. And if you're able to do that, that's great, but there's some decks that really hurts. If you think of Dancers, they don't want to have to pay 2 every time they dull you. Even the Water Bounce deck, they don't want to have to pay an extra 2 every time they want to bounce something. He's a silly card. It's just, I don't really know why Win keeps getting legends like this that just have these indiscriminate, just play any character of cost 4 or less from your hand. If it's 4, get this bonus. I don't know. Looks great in full art, and I love that character, but man, the card was just too pushed. But yeah, it does exactly what I thought it would do. Selkie, King Tycoon's obnoxious. Chocobo's Chocobo. Chocobo Sam, fetches your fatty into your Chocolate. Nice little combo. Fat Chocobo. I wasn't really sure what to think of this card when I first saw it, but we've seen pretty neat decks come up around it, and you just play a bunch of 2-cost win backups. Yeah, he can't attack or block, but he's like a Lakshmi where he's drawing you cards every turn. And then since you're not attacking or blocking anyway, you just dull him to, you know, put out a free one. Been some really crazy effects where you'll see, again, someone will have this in Bismarck, and they'll dull the whole board with Bismarck, ping something off. Fatty places Riku into play, who reactivates all the forwards. Now you're ready to do it all again. Some pretty goofy stuff you can do with it. So definitely has been a lot more potent than I thought. Ninjas, whatever. He sucks. Fina, I just haven't seen it used much. I liked it the few times I used it. It's a bit of a shame it only cancels forward effects, but maybe they thought it would be too strong if it could cancel Shantoto. Suarez, Madam M, I've barely seen. Haven't seen Yuri. Lexa can be incredibly obnoxious, especially depending on what kind of deck you have trying to deal with Edel. The fact that Edel just can't be chosen by summons when she just exists on the board, just kind of like, what? And then she can buff any of them by 1,000. Like, yeah, she can be annoying. Rose is fine for the specific situation she's in. Dark Knight probably sucks. Amber is obviously great. Garland, every time I've tried him, I'm just instantly like, I don't want to. It's just too much effort. Especially, again, when you have things like Typhon that just completely ignore the whole can't be broken and just completely get rid of it. Aerith has been amazing. Really, really overlooked this card. You know, it's like Lastwell, right? 2 cost, 5,000 power, just buffs everybody up. I don't know if it's the particular meta we're in. I thought that was going to be more disruptive. Like, again, you'd have these plays where you block with a bigger guy, and then on the stack, they kill your Aerith. So not only does she die, now your guy shrinks, but for whatever reason, it just hasn't played out that way. The re-raise part of her is fine. I've never really felt like that has won me the game or lost. You know, it's just kind of there. It's nice. It's cool that she's just going to come back. But beyond that, just the power buff it's very good for keeping key stuff out of Amaterasu range. The black mages, making them from 7k to 9k, where it's like, well, you can Amaterasu it, but it's still going to survive. Really liked Aerith. Aiko's garbage. That sucks. Kieran's cool. I was really actually down on it when I first saw it, but it's because I was trying to play it with the Shijins, and that's just not what it's for. People are properly playing it in the soirees. They're all 4 costs anyway. Shijin's then just going to come out, probably hit something or Kieran for free. And again, it is nice against if they have ice or anything that's going to dull. It's just like, nope, can't dull me out of the way. So it's fine. I don't know. I was pretty low on it when I first played it. I think it's good in soirees. It's kind of a shame he doesn't really propagate a deck on his own. I feel like Water Golbez from Opus 14 is way better. Like, you can pay 1 less to consistently reveal something new every turn to play on the field, or you can pay 1 more to this guy to have a single one-time shot. Like, that's even harder to hit. So, yeah, if it weren't for soirees, I don't know how much you'd see this guy, but I am just kind of like meh on him. Gladiator. Cactar's fine. At first I was like, and then I probably thought it was amazing. Now I'm kind of like, it's solid. Maybe overrated. Shijin, obviously, these are amazing. Sophie's quite potent, more so than I thought she would be. It's thank God she's easy to kill, because it's kind of dumb to like, hey, I played my Minfilia backup. Now that kills one of your guys. Not only do I get 2 characters back from my break zone, one of your guys dies as well. That's very annoying. It is nice that you can at least kill her on the stack to prevent her damage from doubling. She does have to see that. But yeah, she in the right deck, she can be quite the pain. Terra's fun for the goofy Go-Go stuff. If it weren't for Go-Go, I think she's pretty worthless. But I never see that. I rarely see Hades. There's a potential there with Robel Lackbell, but it's just too much work, I think. Edel's obviously incredible. Mira can be quite the pain in the ass, especially on damage 5. Seeing Luminous Puma loops where legit they'll kill the Mira, you'll happily block, you just use the Puma to bring it right back, and then you Mira again to bring the Puma back out. Like, it's pretty annoying. Montleonis is fine. I was kind of hoping for more from him. Haven't really seen it. Lael, man, Lael's got some cool I've seen some neat decks with like Lael and Squall. We bring out Lael, now they have to block. Squall goes in, does the 4K, they're forced to block, hits the other 4K. He's got some neat applications, but again, and this is like the downside of printing cards like Soiree and Edel, right? you got to work for Lael. You've got to spend 5 CP, and you have to work and build a deck and build a situation that you get to really take advantage of that. And I do think it is rewarding when you get there. You got to work for it. Or you can just play Edel and just do whatever the hell you want. And who cares? There you go. Leslie's also a little better than I thought, simply because you're not obligated to pass him. So especially if he comes out early, you can kind of mess with your opponent of just like, I'm going to send this your way whenever I feel like it. So a little nice, but again, it's a card you got to work for. So these 3 all suck. Black Waltz is fun. I was kind of amazed nobody played it at Florida. I don't know. Is it too complicated? Is it too unreliable? Too inconsistent? I've enjoyed what I've played with it. The removal is really good. 3 is really fun. I love the loop he can have with Vivi. Vivi's obviously also excellent, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know why anyone didn't play these competitively. Maybe there's just something there that we're missing. The action ability creating an auto is really stupid. You shouldn't be able to Amaterasu this, but you can. Whatever. Zach, haven't seen once. Maybe he'll be good if the right 7 character comes out. Seymour's solid. I think Seymour could have been better. I think he could have been an 8K easily. I don't understand why he has to have the lightning tax of he's got to be 7. Got to be, because he'd still die to Amaterasu. I do love that his entry effect, he just has to see the summons. You don't have to spend them. Thank goodness. Makes an actual decent Al Cid target, which is nice. And then, the Dull and Remove 6. I don't know if it's ever worth building an entire deck around that, but yeah, I just wish he was 8. I just don't think in this day and age he has a conditional entry effect. It's not guaranteed. He's got to see something. Why can't he be an 8 cost? Again, that doesn't even protect him from Amaterasu, so I don't understand that. Whatever. Chadley is cool in the right situation. I specifically like him in Black Waltz or where you want to get a particular forward back at the right moment. He's great for that. Other than that, I think he sucks, but again, he's there for what he needs to be there for. Noel has been disappointing. He sucks. Noctis. Built for Kingsglaive, right? It makes you wonder why he didn't come out last set with all the other Kingsglaives, because he's definitely there. I still think that deck is incredibly overrated. When I watch it perform, I think Alex Hancock's really hit the nail on the head with it when he said it's really just there to race. You have to outrace them because it really lacks removal. Now, again, at the same time, I've seen where you're just constantly dulling their stuff down and you're just putting on this pressure. I think it's okay, but I personally wouldn't take it to an event. I don't think it's that good. Like, I think the Noctis gave it an angle, but I still just see it. I just see it get slaughtered on Octagon. People playing in person, whatever it is, they still just get wrecked constantly. Like, not again, yeah, they pull off some wins here and there, but the old one pulled off some wins here and there. So I don't know. I'm not saying he's not good for the deck. He obviously helps it. I just am surprised that this has made certain people be like, I'm going to take this to a tournament now. I'm like, really? I feel like they're still lackluster. Palmer sucks. No reason for that restriction. Vivi's obviously great. Talked about him with Black Mages. Hio is just kind of what I expected. Like, he's fine, I guess. He's just fine. Spectral Keeper's kind of redundant. There's a lot of stuff in Lightning, especially now with the Lon and the Noctis, that you can kind of just passively dull something. So I'm not really sure what the Spectral Keeper's for. Maybe in some like ice deck with a Hope, where every time he dulls, he's also going to freeze, or I don't know. But yeah, he just seems redundant. Merald is obviously one of the best soirees. Ishtola is an incredibly disappointing card. I cannot believe... I mean, look at these two next to each other. So Merald and Ishtola. Nobody knows who the soirees are. Not that many people played Brave Exvius, and 14 is one of their most popular games. That's currently going on. And so I'm just baffled that the Scion... Like, how are the Scions not, like, the best deck far and away in the entire game? Because they're 14 characters. It's actively your most popular game that rakes in so much money for this company. And they're just so underwhelming. And they just keep giving us the same name. Like, again, for what this card does, it's actually fine. It just doesn't push the archetype forward at all. The only thing I've seen it used in is with, like, 7-cost Thancred with Oracle of Light. Thancred brings in the Ishtola, who immediately dulls to have send the Thancred in. And I've heard some people using it with the fire stuff, but it's just, yeah. Like, the card's fine. It's just... Just bums me out to see Scions just get so disrespected. The Lawn and the Rain are cool. Really good when you can get them off. The Lawn especially. Dulling something when they go to combat means they'll always have not only less blockers, less attackers. It can really mess with your math and how you win. So they are cool cards. I do like both of those. I don't know if there's like a certain build out there that they need to go in, or you just put them in generic lightning stuff that you want to do, but I don't know. They're neat. I haven't tried those. Andrea, the blank is really easy to get off with the Kyrie. In Dancers, or just anything you use them in. Some people use them Sky Pirates. And blanking a whole board is quite awesome. Other than that, does what he expects you to do. As I've seen used specifically. Kamari, I haven't seen used once. And some people were I hated this card when I first saw it. Then some people really sold me on it. No, it'll be good, it'll be good. And I haven't seen anybody use it. I haven't seen anybody. It's just, I think it's weird design in that, I mean, maybe you want to use it in an aggro deck. Like, the thing is, if you're playing out your backups, you want to put them out as soon as you get them. You don't want to sit there and hold a Kamari until you get the right forward out there to do that. And with the quote-unquote meta as varied as everyone says it is, and you see all these different types of decks, you may run into something that doesn't even care about this, that it just straight breaks you, or that it, typhons you away or bounces you back to hand, in which case the counter's meaningless anyway, because it just protects you from, ability or summon damage. So, real disappointing with this guy. Would have much rather had a forward for the 10 deck. Kyrie's fine. I thought she was going to be better than she was. She's just okay. Not bad, really, just... Again, I was kind of hyped up more on her and it wasn't good. These ones are all just kind of there. Hagen, White Mage. Hope they may have to errata this with the whole can only happen once per turn. Because whether it's competitive or not, it's just dumb conceptually that you can draw through your entire deck on your opponent's turn with Black Mages. It's really stupid. I really like Sarah Mobius much better than I thought I would. It's really interesting that you can keep getting her these crystals, or when you gain crystals, you get to keep checking the top of your deck. And then you can spend them for that little kind of Minwoo effect and power buff. So she's been fun. Tidus is absolutely awesome. I was surprised the number of people who were low on this guy. Mainly because, to me, he does exactly what I expected him to do. You put him in something like the bounce deck. You put him in one of the deck techs I'm going to have coming out on the channel soon. And you just let him do his work. He was never going to, I don't know what people expected of him. Like, he was always going to be, he sits there a turn, and then he very slowly starts chipping in one at a time. If they ever dare choose him, unless they've got Amaterasu, he's always going to give you a huge advantage. So he might as well don't choose this guy. He was always going to be vulnerable to board wipes. Like, I don't know, I guess I felt like I really understood this card when I saw it, and I understood exactly what it was good at and what it wasn't good at. And I wonder if some people overhyped it, that it's just so amazing you just jam it into anything ever. It's like, no, you still want to put it in the right spot. So I absolutely adore Tidus. 10 is my favorite game. He's probably my favorite character from that game, right up there with Yuna. So it's nice to see him just get such a banger card, and the art is freaking fantastic. Who knows, maybe I'll have to spring for a full art. But yeah, he's great. He does exactly what I expected him to do. So Tross, I think, again, works really well in the water deck. Can be really potent with the amount of card draw it can give you, as well as just bouncing stuff back to hand. So he's good. Never seen Fiona. It was cool to see a Fusoya deck at Reunion. This still kind of isn't really my style, but it was cool to see people do it. Porphyrion can't get a good card to save his life. Suarez are great. Marsh seems fun. I'm kind of tempted to build a deck around him, see if I can come up with that. Maya, I tried to make work. I really don't like her. And I think I don't know. I think my issue with her is that you have to have the summon in hand to cast, whereas all the strongest stuff pulls from the break zone. If you think of Kryl, Kryl just needs to, you can pitch that summon way early, and then Kryl is going to go back and get it later. And it removes it from I don't know, and especially like compared to Rydia, you can cast stuff for free. Yeah, she costs one more, but she still has protection, and she can even attack if you need her to, or block if you desperately need to block her. She doesn't remove the summon afterwards. Like, I don't know. I just don't like Maya. I tried a couple different decks to see her make her work, but I really don't like her. Lightning's great. It's nice to have a nice defensive card in the game. I wonder if it would have been too strong if your forwards equaled if she didn't go off, because there's sometimes I really wish that worked, but she's good. I haven't used Leviathan much personally, but I always hear great things. Leo's absolute garbage. Man, in theory, Warrior Light would be really good in an aggro deck, but no one bothers to use it, so that probably tells you all you need to know. Bart's is way too generic despite amazing artwork. Chaos would be great if you ever had a sideboard and you knew your opponent was playing Shantoto. Other than that, I can't see why you'd ever purposely slot this unless you're just having fun. Twintania, I think, is as bad as I thought it was. It's amazing to me that it's not 1, 8,000 damage, and 2, there isn't a way to abuse it. That, you know, there's no way to, if you can somehow get yourself 3 counters on there, which is difficult, but if you can do it, why can I then not find a way to spend those 3 counters? It still shoots off 1 counter at a time. That being said, yes, I have seen a few matchups where, like, if someone's putting down early small forwards like a Laswell, this Twintania is just this time bomb of like, oh crap, I like, no matter what I put out, this thing's going to kill it. But other than those few situations, I don't find it that great. Jekt I just use for numbers. I do like all the 10 starter cards. Bahamut is probably overcosted, honestly, especially with no, I get the whole point is you can reduce it to 1, but especially with no EX burst, I think this could have been 5 and then maybe have another reduction, but 6 is just, you never want to cast that for 6. And the thing is, too, the reduction is way too expensive to do that multiple times in a game. You know, maybe you'll get 2. Very unlikely to get 3. Broskus is obviously crazy. People have made their whole own archetype decks around it. And I love all the Guardians. Yuna's freaking great. If you saw, it's one of my favorite decks I've made this Opus. Lulu's fantastic. Orin is really good. Riku is slow, but man, she feels so rewarding when you get there. And I've even built a deck with summoners and just Riku to abuse it. Waka's obviously great. This Tidus is awesome, and Sin's a joke. And I don't know why he still costs 9. But yeah, so there you go. There's kind of all the cards and just my initial thoughts after, you know, getting to play a bit in the Opus, see some of the competitive stuff. My opinion definitely changed on some of them. Some of them are stronger, weaker, etc. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's anyone in particular who's let you down or really surpassed your expectations. I'm sure, you know, people disagree with me on several of them because some of them I'm just like, oh, why are these cards so loved? But yeah, there you go. So overall, it's been an interesting set so far. It's been nice to see actual competitive play. Hopefully I'll actually be feeling better if I can cast whatever the next one is, and whenever I get to that, and I can actually enjoy it and take it in. So yeah, let me know what you think. Appreciate you listening and watching. Like and subscribe, all that nonsense. Talk to you later.